Hey, my name is Sharina, and this is the place where we believe in living to bless and not impress, and where we talk all things faith, life, and entrepreneurship. So, in today's video, I'm going to be talking all about boundaries and how to stop people pleasing. Now, let me tell you, this is something that I have learned firsthand, and it was so crucial in my journey. Your girl was a queen at people pleasing. So that started at a really young age. I won't get into details, but pretty much there was a lot of like manipulation, bullying, cattiness, that sort of thing. And what came with that was this sameness. So to have a different opinion than, the rest of the group can mean being ostracized, bullied, singled out, all of that. So as a very young girl, I learned how to think like everyone else and to forget what I think, forget what my personal opinion is, but to just blend in with the group, or else I would be penalized or ostracized. So that's a little bit about my background with people pleasing and all of that. Anyway, so what are boundaries? Basically, boundaries, we see it with fences and all of that. So a boundary pretty much determines where you end and someone else begins. It's creating separation, it's creating limits, protecting you, because you are limited. You have limited time, you have limited money, you have limited resources, so you can't be all things to all people at all times. Even if that's your heart, you can't. You need boundaries. And even Jesus had boundaries and modeled this so beautifully. Something that was really game-changing for me is recognizing that other people's reactions, other people's emotions, other people's response is not my responsibility. Let me say that again for the people in the back. Okay, remember, other people's emotions, other people's reactions, other people's responses to your boundaries are not your responsibility. And even in that word, responsibility is responsibility. You are not able to respond for other people. They have to take ownership of their reaction, their responses. And it's so key to understand this and to have, this is like one of the key things to ensure that the relationships you have in your life are healthy. Because some people, it's not that they love you, they love your compliance. You know what I mean? And game-changing truth from, when I was learning all about boundaries and people pleasing, if you can't say no, your yes means nothing. I know, take your time. It hit me too. It honestly hit me too. If you cannot say no, your yes means nothing. If someone asks you something, you have the full right to say yes or to say no. And if you find yourself saying yes when internally everything in you is saying no, that's a good indication that you are falling into people pleasing and that you're not being honest with yourself or others. And that's when bitterness grows. That's when people feel used. That's when people feel angry. These are emotions that stem from feeling like your boundaries are being crossed and the other person isn't to blame, especially if you haven't communicated. You are responsible. You are the only one that can communicate what your boundaries are and communicate what you are and are not able to give. And also with boundaries, it's remembering that you teach people how to treat you. You determine what you will and will not accept. So you can control another person, but you can choose your reaction. You can choose what you will and will not tolerate. So for example, let's say you have a certain family member or a certain person who talks to you crazy, okay? So they're always raising their voice, they're insulting you, berating you. Now, you don't have to just take that. So you can communicate what your boundaries are. So let's say this is a phone conversation and now they're insulting you, they're raising their voice. You can't control them. You can't necessarily say, stop yelling at me, because if they want to yell at you, they can yell at you. They have free will. But what you can say is, I'm happy to continue having this conversation, but I will not tolerate you yelling at me. So if you continue to yell, I am going to end this conversation. So now you see, you put the ball in their court. So now they can choose to continue yelling, by which you already communicated your boundaries. So conversation will be done, or they tone down their voice, and now you can continue talking. Now, if they yell again, you warn them. You can end that conversation right there. You communicated what the consequences to their actions would be. And recognizing as well that not everyone needs to have the same access to you. So it's almost like, I love this. One of the analogies that we taught when we were doing Shine Women, it's like a home. Do you know what I mean? There's different rooms in your home. There's the living room, then there's a bedroom, there's a washroom. Those different rooms are like different levels of intimacy. So it's not every Tom, Dick, and Harry that you're going to invite into your bedroom. You know what I mean? Like, some people can be allowed in your living room. They could be allowed in that space, but only certain people are allowed in your bedroom. And it's the same thing like with your life. You don't have to give free access to absolutely everyone who wants it. Yes, you can make yourself available. Yes, you can commune with people to an extent, but with certain things, you might keep that to people that you've chosen to walk that level of intimacy with. And with Jesus, he made himself available to crowds, but then there's so many times where he would withdraw and he would just be with the Father, where he would just be with his 12 disciples, where he would just be with 3 out of the 12. So even in different stages, he did different things with different groups of people at different times. It's okay. So I'm going to give you some more tips on how to stop people pleasing as well as creating boundaries. So the first thing is, with people pleasing, you want to figure out, why is it that you are wanting to please people so bad? What's the underlying root reason that you want people's approval, And a huge thing that's going to help you on the other side of that is recognizing and realizing that your value is intrinsic. Like, your value doesn't go up and down based on people's perceptions of you, based on people's opinions of you. When you realize that we all came into this world naked and with nothing, it'll sober you real quick and just remind you that at the end of the day, no matter what attributes we give people, accolades we give people, how much money is in their bank accounts, how beautiful they are, at the end of the day, we are all human beings. I think it was Lecrae that said, if you're not built up by their praise, you won't be crumbled by their criticism and rejection. So very practical, something that I've learned to do is not answering on the spot. So sometimes people want to pressure you to say yes right there and then, but you could just say, give me tonight to think about it and I'll get back to you tomorrow. That way you're not making knee-jerk reactions. If you give everyone a yes, it's like your yes gets annulled and it means nothing, because you gave everyone a yes, you're not able to fulfill that yes. So it's good to give yourself the space and the time to answer appropriately and reflect and think, okay, is this something I could do? Is something I can give yes to? And then you can give a full-hearted yes and mean it, rather than you said a knee-jerking yes and then you're like beating yourself up because you're like, oh, why did I commit to that? Why did I say yes to that? So don't let people pressure you. If someone asks you to do something, you can take a day to figure it out, and this isn't with everything. You don't want to be extreme, but if you are inside, there's like a little bit of a war happening, give yourself the time to really think about it so you can make an informed decision. Okay, another thing with people pleasing. So if you're used to, like I said before, you just adopt other people's opinions. A great book by Henry Cloud as well is Boundaries in Dating. Oh, that one was good. I gave that book to someone to borrow and have no idea who has it. So if you're my friend and you have my book, can you please bring it back, please? Thank you. Don't try to be wishy-washy in trying to say what you think the other person wants to hear. You know what I mean? Like being a separate person. And so Boundaries in Dating is a great book for that. But so if this is something that's new to you or that you struggle with, I would suggest that you give yourself the time to explore, like interview yourself, put yourself in different situations, almost like you're dating yourself in a way. I know that sounds weird, but almost like you're dating yourself. Like figure out, okay, what is it that you want? What is it that you enjoy doing? What things do you hate? Sometimes so many people can dictate things for us that we don't realize, or things that we can adopt from our parents. Like if your parents never really do anything adventurous, or they never really stray too far from the norm. There's so many things we can adopt from other people that we don't realize that you really just inherited that from your parents, or you were really just told that constantly from a young age. So you were conditioned to believe that or to think that way. So you want to give yourself the opportunity to really explore and learn and figure out who you are, who you're wired to be, who God created you to be, and not just adopting what's been presented to you or what's been around you. Now, lastly, so just like you want people to respect your choice, your decisions, your thoughts, your opinions, you have to give other people the freedom to make a choice. So you need to respect other people's choices as well. Now, Jesus did this exceptionally well. When you think about Jesus, when he was talking to the rich young ruler, it said that he went away sad. Now listen to me. If anyone could have convinced someone, like Jesus was a brilliant communicator. If anyone could have convinced and been like, no, don't make that choice. Come follow me, buddy. What are you doing? Like, if anyone could have convinced someone or manipulated them to change their mind, it could have been Jesus. But Jesus let him walk away. Bruh, listen to me. Jesus honored his decision to walk away, and he let him leave. That's amazing. Jesus loved him enough to allow him to make his choice. And it's funny. I remember this woman, she asked me, she was like, Sharina, can you please pray that so-and-so would fall in love with me? I was like, I'm not a witch. Like, this is not witchcraft. Sorry, no, it's not respectful. Because listen, if God, who is perfect, who is himself the definition of love, if he doesn't force other people to love him, who are we to force a man or a woman to love us who are imperfect? We can't make people love us. We can't force people to accept us and want us. You can't. You cannot. You will drive yourself crazy trying to force people to love you, trying to make people see you in a certain way. You can't. All you can do is control you. All you can do is be who you are, be who you're created to be a healthy individual. And who wants to love that will love that, and who doesn't won't. And the thing is, some people, they'll just make up their mind that I don't like you. Nothing you can do can change it. You can, oh my gosh, you can lose so much sleep and mental space trying to force someone to love you, trying to force them to see you, value you. Some people spend their whole lives trying to get approval from one person. Some people spend their whole lives trying to prove that I'm not who you said I was in high school, that I'm better than who you said. Like, their whole world, their whole being is all centered around proving something to someone. So it's so important that you don't build your life. You don't build your life on what other people say about you, because it is a crumbling foundation. It is an ever-changing foundation. So the best thing you can do is build your life on what God says about you, because what God says about you doesn't change. God created you. That's where your value is from. The fact that he made you, the fact that he thought you up, that he knit you together, and he has a purpose for you. That's the best foundation to build your life on. You have a yes, you have a no, you have free choice given to you by God. And it's our responsibility to exercise that with wisdom. All right, so I hope that encouraged you. I hope there's some tips in there that you can take away, that you can apply. And if you want to go into depth, you can read the book by Henry Cloud called Boundaries. Also the book Boundaries in Dating. There's also a book by, I believe it's Joyce Myer, called People Approval or Addiction Approval or Approval Addiction. I should have Googled that. Anyway, so let me know in the comments which point stood out to you the most, or if boundaries is something that's easy for you to uphold, or if it's something that you're constantly revisiting. Also, don't forget to subscribe if you want to be in the loop for all videos concerning faith, life, and entrepreneurship, and visit SharinaChantelShares.com if you want more content. I've got courses, blog posts, all of it for you. So I'll leave all the details in the description box, and I'll see you in the next video. Stay blessed.